Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace, my favorite platform to build a website so you can stand out and succeed online. Today, I'm breaking down the biggest fashion faux pas when it comes to airline travel. And believe you me, I've done a lot of travel lately and have learnt some of these lessons the hard way. So let's get ready to make smarter wardrobe choices for your next adventure. Now, my first piece of advice is to keep your outfits very basic. From the moment you arrive at the airport, you're being watched, whether you like it or not, or even realize it or not. So if you keep your outfits very basic and you don't stand out, chances are you're not going to be noticed, and the airport is not somewhere you want to draw attention to yourself. One thing I've also learnt is to pack a travel tote inside your carry-on luggage. Now, this has saved me a whole lot of hassle. You know those times where you're perhaps late to board and you find that all carry-on luggage has to be checked? It's really convenient if you have a tote in your carry-on bag. And what I generally do when I'm caught short like this is I'll pile all of my important things like my laptop or a camera, for instance, and pop them into a tote bag, which I pop over my shoulder. I can also put my little purse or handbag in there as well. And that bag can stay with me and I can check my carry-on luggage. So having a simple canvas tote bag inside your carry-on luggage has definitely helped me in these tight spots. And I am finding increasingly that airlines do tend to check or want to check more carry-on, or certainly bigger carry-on luggage into the hold. So it's meant that I can keep my really valuable belongings with me and check my hand luggage on instead. Another tip when it comes to carry-on luggage is inside my tote, I also have a pouch where I keep a few essentials and things like antibacterial wipes and maybe some makeup or some gum, a toothbrush, just items that I know that I'm going to want to utilize when I'm traveling. So as soon as I board the flight, I grab my tote with all of those essentials in that little pouch and things that I know that I'm going to use, like a book or my laptop, so that I have that. I can pop it under the seat in front of me and I've got those items ready and at hand. The last thing I want to do when I'm flying is to have to open up that overhead locker and grab out my carry-on luggage and rummage through for items that I need. I find if I'm a little more organized before I actually board the plane and have those pieces in that tote bag inside my carry-on, I can just grab that and I know that they are all really easily accessed and I've got them there throughout the flight. And when it comes to hand luggage, what I try and do is make sure that I have an extra change of clothes in there as well. Now, this isn't always easy, especially if you're traveling from a hot climate to a cold climate, and those clothes are generally a lot bulkier. But certainly if it's the reverse, it's very easy to pop in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, just in case you get caught short and your baggage gets lost along the way. When it comes to clothing, I always think having a scarf with you is an absolute must. Now, it could be a cashmere scarf if you're heading to a colder climate, or just a simple silk scarf if you're perhaps heading to a warmer climate. But having that scarf on board generally tends to give you some options, whether you wear it around your shoulders as a little bit of a blanket, or perhaps you can roll it. And I often use my scarves as an extra little bit of a pillow. Scarves are a great way of just giving you that extra little bit of warmth, but they can also cover your face if you want a little bit of privacy, and they can kind of upgrade your outfit when you arrive at your destination as well. So I tend to find having a scarf with you on your carry-on baggage is a very handy idea as well. Another non-negotiable for me is wearing a jacket that has pockets with zips. And what I tend to find is as you're going through security before you board your flight, you know how you have to take your cell phone and your keys and everything out of your pockets and pop them in those grey bins to go through the scanner. Generally, what I tend to do is I will grab all of those items, I'll pop them in a zippered jacket and pop that jacket into the grey bin that goes through. Now, what that does is it keeps everything safe. It keeps everything and all of my valuables in one place. And it means if I get held up in security, I don't have to worry about my phone and my keys and my precious items being sort of left there on the other side of security for anyone to take advantage and grab if they so feel like it. Theft is definitely a big issue at airports, so this is one way just to keep your very precious items a little safer. So a jacket with pockets that you can secure items in is always a really good idea. And at this point, I'm just going to take a brief moment to say a very big thank you to the team at Squarespace for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. If you haven't heard of Squarespace before, they're an online website builder and host. I've used them for many years to host my website and others. Squarespace also recently introduced a cool new AI feature called Design Intelligence. Now, this new feature makes it even easier for anyone to build a stunning, personalized website that does absolutely everything you need it to do, including creating an online store to sell physical products or digital products. It also helps you create and sell online courses. And the great thing is you don't need any tech skills to set up a Squarespace website. If I can do it, you can do it too. So if you're looking to launch yourself online this year, what I would suggest doing is whip on over to squarespace.com, take advantage of their free trial. When you're ready to push play, simply use my unique URL, which is squarespace.com/The Style Insider, and my code, which is The Style Insider, and that will give you 10% off your first website or domain with Squarespace. I will leave a link to Squarespace in the description box below and some more details. But if you are wanting to appear and launch yourself online this year, then I can hand on heart recommend Squarespace as the easiest and most efficient way of doing it. Most body scanners at airports are also not as sensitive as they used to be. They used to pick up fine jewelry and underwire bras. They don't seem to be that sensitive anymore, but they will still pick up chunky bangles if you're wearing those, and certainly chunky bangles stacked together is on trend at the moment. So I would steer clear of wearing any chunky jewelry, and lots of chunky hard metal rings, and also belt buckles are a bit of a tricky one as well. So when it comes to some of those accessories, make sure you pare them back and keep them a little minimal if you possibly can. I also tend to like flying with a hooded sweatshirt, and a hooded sweatshirt just gives me the option of putting the hood up for a little bit of privacy, giving me some warmth on a flight, because often on board, I don't know whether you guys have experienced this in the past, but sometimes the flight can be really cold and you don't always get blankets on board every airline. So having a hoodie can kind of give you that extra warmth and just make you feel a little bit more comfortable and give you some privacy as well. So certainly if I had to choose between a crew neck sweatshirt or a hooded sweatshirt, I will always go for a hood. Now, sorry in advance for this one. I don't usually talk about underwear on the internet, but this is a hack that I tend to use if I'm flying long haul. And essentially I'll use a simple panty liner in my underwear on the first part of a long haul flight, and then essentially instead of having to change into a new fresh pair of underwear, I just simply remove that panty liner. And yes, it's not as fresh as a brand new pair, but it does make you feel a little bit better than wearing one pair of underwear for an entire 20 or 30 hour journey. But just having a little panty liner can make all the difference. When it comes to shoes, the key is that your footwear needs to be comfortable and practical. Now, as you probably already know, there's lots of standing around in queues when it comes to airports. There's also generally lots of walking, and of course when you fly, your feet do tend to swell up as well. So what I generally suggest wearing is a lace-up sneaker type shoe. And what I tend to do is I loosen the laces ever so slightly before I go through security so that I can just quickly slide my shoes off, pop them into the bin so that they can go through security without me having to tussle with laces. So I loosen them off beforehand. I always make sure that I wear socks, because there's nothing worse than having to walk from one side of security to the other in bare feet. So I always wear socks and sneakers that you can loosen up before you go through security. And then you can simply tighten them up if you need them to be a little bit tighter as you walk towards your gate. And the great thing about laces is that you can actually adjust the shoes depending on whether you do get swollen feet when you're flying. And if you don't want to be messing around with doing up your laces and loosening them off, you can always opt for some of those stretchy laces that essentially just give your foot the ability to move and grow as it needs to, and you can slide your feet in and out with those laces really easily. So that's another option, to swap out your regular laces for a pair of stretchy laces before you head away. Now, when it comes to pants, I'll always recommend wearing loose fit, stretchy pants certainly with a stretchy waistband. And what I would definitely steer clear of is any sort of waistband that is restrictive. And there's nothing worse than having to undo your top button when you're sitting for a long period of time and then having to sort of secretly do it up again when you want to move around the aircraft. So definitely stretchy. What I would say is you should steer clear of wearing wide leg pants. Now, I know that this can be a trap to fall into because generally they are far more comfortable. But I do think that wide leg pants run the risk of getting caught on things, whether it's in travelators or escalators or lifts or parts of the aircraft as you're moving up and down the aisle. So I would definitely opt for more of a jogger style pants. My go-to for traveling is generally a matching sweatsuit, but certainly if that's not your vibe, what I would suggest is opting for clothing made from natural fibers. When you travel, you tend to attract static electricity. And if you don't like this, which I don't know anyone that would like it, then stick to either sweatsuits, sweatpants, or natural fibers. What I also recommend is making sure to avoid any pants that require a belt. So as you go through airport security, you will generally have to go through a body scanner. In that body scanner, you'll be asked to hold your hands up above your head. If you've already taken your belt off, which you will have to before you get into that scanner, then you're going to be in all sorts of problems if you're holding your hands above your head and you are wearing pants or trousers that require a belt. So make sure that you opt for something with an elasticated waistband instead. Puffer jackets are also a really good option if you're traveling to a colder climate too. They have zip pockets, so you'll keep all of your valuables safe as you're going through security, and certainly when you're on board as well. And they double as a pillow or a little blankie to keep you warm. And certainly you can roll them up in a ball. They don't crumple or crease and look just as good afterwards. So a puffer jacket is a great piece that I would recommend for traveling to colder climates for sure. When it comes to travel, I really disregard fashion trends. I do think and prioritize comfort and practicality. And one of the pieces that I always travel with is a crossbody bag. Having that hands-free element is really essential, especially when you're going through security and for traveling purposes in general. So crossbody bags, in my opinion, are the best choice when it comes to travel. One of the things I often say too is don't wear cowboy boots when you're traveling. The authentic, real deal cowboy boots generally have a metal bar in them that goes through to the heel, and this will always set off security. If you're fine about that, then that's no problem at all. And certainly if you're traveling out of Houston, Texas or somewhere like that, I'm sure it's not going to be an issue. But do take note and be a little extra careful if you do wear traditional cowboy boots when you travel. Generally speaking, when you're going through security, you do have to disrobe and take those outer layers off. So it's also really important to be careful or be mindful of what those base layers are that you're wearing. So avoid wearing skimpy crop tops and pieces that perhaps are see-through, or just items that you wouldn't feel so comfortable wearing in a public setting, because you will be asked to take off some of those outer layers. So just be mindful of what you're wearing underneath. I always travel with a hat as well, whether it's a baseball cap or a beanie, depending on where I'm traveling to and what the climate is. I find a hat is great for when you arrive at your destination. Depending on how long your flight has been, it's always super easy just to pop on a hat and make you feel a little bit more put together, especially if you have been on a long haul flight and you're Hair is all over the place. Just wearing a hat or a beanie is an easy way to kind of just make you feel a little bit fresher when you arrive. Basically speaking, when it comes to your clothes, I always opt for darker colors too, despite the fact that I love wearing fresh whites or I like to wear colors that are on trend. I very much tend to wear blacks and navies when I travel, simply for the reason that I know I'm going to be in these clothes for a long period of time. I'm going to be eating sitting down on the flight, and that's not always particularly easy. Flight attendants can spill things on you as they're passing things across to you. So darker colors generally tend to last the distance much better than light colors as well. And I did mention underwire bras before and how they used to be a pain wearing them at the airport because the scanners would always pick them up. And while that's not an issue anymore, I do find that wearing a bra that has no underwire or a simple crop top instead of your regular bra when you travel is also a good option, and it's purely just for comfort as well, especially if you're on a long haul flight and you're going to be in that same outfit for a very long period of time. A bra that doesn't have an underwire or a simple crop top is going to be a much more comfortable option. My best travel hacks is taking a photo of the departure board as well. There's nothing worse than having to jostle to try and see your flight and whether it's on time and what gate you have to go to. What I generally tend to do, especially if it's really busy at the airport, is I'll just take a photo of that departure board and then I can sit back and relax and look and check that my flight's on time, and I can look and see what gate that I'm heading to, and I can zoom in and make it easy to read as well, so I'm not having to put my glasses on and off to try and see the departure board. So take a photo of it. It's always super helpful to have that on your phone. Now, if you have to hit the ground running when you arrive somewhere, taking a little bottle of wrinkle release spray is always a good idea, so you don't have to worry about ironing your items. You can spritz your clothes and there's a quick turnaround at the other end. Now, this is a product that I use and love, but only when I need to be kind of good to go at the other end and I don't have much time. But certainly a little bottle of wrinkle release spray has got me out of some tight spots. Compression socks for long haul flights can be super helpful as well. I personally don't wear them. What I generally tend to do is make sure that I get up and walk around from time to time to avoid any deep vein thrombosis or any of the other nasty things that can happen from not moving and that altitude for a long period of time. But if you are concerned about this and you're not likely to move around as much during the flight, then definitely grab yourself a good pair of compression socks. And last but not least, when it does come to static electricity, what I do tend to do is take a little bottle of anti-static spray with me as well. To help avoid some of the static that builds up when you travel, I will often spritz my luggage and certainly my hand luggage with some anti-static spray just to sort of try and avoid some of that static occurring in the first place. But certainly if you wear fabrics that have an element of polyester or some sort of man-made fabric composition, then some anti-static spray is going to be your best friend when you're traveling. I hope these tips and little secrets help you feel more comfortable and confident on your next adventure. Remember, the key is to prioritize comfort and keep it really simple. Oh, and I also wanted to say thank you very much for everyone who took the time to watch my recent video where I did a deep dive into the style of 77-year-old icon Linda V. Wright. You all seem to really enjoy that episode, and if you missed it, you can click or tap on the screen right here and take a look at it. I'm also still trying to work out what to call this new series, so if you can think of a name, please drop it in the comments below. But thanks for watching this one. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I've got some exciting things heading our way this year, and yep, give it a thumbs up because that always helps too. But anyway, I will catch you real soon in the next one. Bye for now.